primordial waters of our esoteric universe exquisitely exist on the planet Venus. The waters on planet Earth and throughout the cosmos are an extension of these primordial waters. The keepers of light on planet Venus recognize those who are pure and prepared for the initiation of water. Water is the conduit of all information throughout the cosmic day and the cosmic night. To do the work of purifying the waters, we do the work of purifying our body, which is 80% water. We purify our blood, our urine, our saliva, and our sweat. We steward the waters of our planet. The purified waters of Earth will bless the cosmos. When the water of Mother Earth is pure, she will evolve into a conscious planet of light and love. When the water of our body is pure, we will evolve into a conscious being of light and of love. Women are the natural stewards of the water. Women are water carriers. Women carry an energetic extension of the primordial waters within the womb when new life is in formation. The womb of a woman is a fourth dimensional sacred space to be honored and blessed. Men are the protectors of water. As men protect the women who carry the waters, they protect the next generations. The sexual waters of a man carries the seed which impregnates. Men carry the spark of life within their waters. These sexual waters are of a fourth dimensional vibration and are to be honored and blessed. Each drink of water is a blessed sacrament. Each bathing is a baptism. Each raindrop experienced a miracle. Each loving exchange of waters, each sexual encounter, sacred beyond imagination. Exquisite relationships of love and light consciously exchange the waters of spirit in form. The kiss, the sweat, the sexual waters of a divine couple dedicated to light are sacred. These waters heal and vitalize the couple. These waters carry the potentiality of God, the potential to create life. To consciously bless the water moment by moment is to bless your partner as a holy vessel of spiritual waters. To consciously bless the water moment by moment is a ritual of impeccability. Purify your waters within and without. Speak to your water. Tell the water that you love it, you respect it, you appreciate it. Then, in consuming that water or exchanging that water, you love, respect, and appreciate this manifestation of spirit called water in form. Fundamental health on all levels begins with pure, lovingly energized water. Love, purify, and energize your waters.
Thank you for your patience. My internet, there was a big jet flying right over the yurt and just had to wait until it cleared the zone here. So thank you for that. Welcome. I'm Diana Aldrich and welcome to my yurt. I'm in Wisconsin. It's very cold. It's sub-zero temperatures. We have lots of water on the ground in the form of snow crystals. It's really beautiful. And I'm so glad that you could all be here with me tonight. I would love to hear where you're coming in from. If you want to put that up in the chat, but I also want to hear or for you to type in, by what name do you call water? I know some of us are not from, I'm from the United States, or not American, do not speak English perhaps, or have 2, 3, 4 additional languages that you speak. So in the chat, just put in there, if you will, by what name do you call water? And while I'm hearing from everyone, I'm going to begin with a very short reading and then come back to a bit more reading from the Hidden Messages of Water. Just let me know in the chat, do you know this book or do you not know this book? Written by Japanese scientist Masaru Emoto. It's been very popular for those who do know the book, love the book. And we're going to talk about why it's such a good book. And if you don't know it and you haven't read it, I'm going to highly recommend you at least check it out of your library. If not, purchase it. It's one to own for sure on the shelf. So chapter 1, this is how he begins. Title of the chapter, Of What is the Universe Made? I'm sure you can answer that question given what we're talking about tonight. He says, understanding the fact that we are essentially water is the key to uncovering the mysteries of the universe. If you re-examine the world around you from this new perspective, you will start to see things as you have never seen them before. So that's how we begin tonight. How do we see water? My question for you is, do you have a relationship with water? And what does that relationship look like? Is it a conscious relationship? Is it a relationship of continuous communication and communion, of respect, of love, of adoration, of gratefulness for all that water is and gives to you moment by moment, day by day? Oftentimes when we don't have a deep and abiding relationship with someone or with something, an element such as water, we can easily take it for granted. And when we take someone or something for granted, we get further and further and further away from the ability to experience love and vitality from that essential source, be it person or element. So tonight, in part 1, we'll be back together again next week, but tonight in part 1, we're going to begin to lay a bit of a foundation, a bit of theory. What is this? What is the sacredness of water? And what does that have to do with a sensual life or a sensual lifestyle? And I'd like to offer you many perspectives tonight and hear some of your own as well. And then next week, we're going to dive deeper into some actual practice with water, with the consciousness of water. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So welcome. Let me just look through the chat. Agua, beautiful. We have a lot of water, folks from Canada, from New Zealand, welcome. Australia, Turkey, beautiful. Vancouver. Los Angeles, welcome. Beautiful. So if you would, in the chat, I'm gonna call you up to speak in a little bit as well. I want to hear your voice, but what is your relationship with water? That's my first profound question for you tonight. What is your relationship with water? In a sentence or two at the most. Type that into the chat with me. And if you have not recognized yourself as having a relationship with water before, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. This relationship with water, more than anything, will change, enhance, or quantum charge your entire health and fitness trajectory. In addition, it will completely quantum charge your relationship and love trajectory. We'll be talking about that a little bit tonight, but even more next week. As you saw in the video, the waters, the sacredness of water is that it is within water that life is formed. And it is through water that life is created. It is through and because of water that life can survive on planet Earth, including us, the human species. So I'm going to bring our attention to another book as we talk about the relationship of water as we get going. The Holy Order of Water by William Waterway Marks. Let me know if you've heard of this book. Again, another essential book for the bookshelf. And this is what he says about water, though it doesn't begin with water. So check this out. This is page 147 on deforestation and dams. The Tree of Life Endangered is the title of this section. Ancient mythology and religious traditions through the ages consistently refer to the Tree of Life. What is the Tree of Life? Is it a literal or figurative reference? Does the Tree of Life have several meanings on different levels? In her book, The Mystical Kabbalah, another great book by Dion Fortune, expresses it this way. In brief, the Tree of Life is a compendium of science, psychology, philosophy, and theology. Each symbol upon the tree represents a cosmic force or factor. When the mind concentrates upon it, it comes into touch with that force. In other words, a surface channel, a channel in consciousness, has been made between the conscious mind of the individual and a particular factor in the world soul. And through this channel, the waters of the ocean pour into the lagoon. In a literal sense, trees have much to offer in the way of shelter, food, shade, flood and wind control, and a place of refuge. On another level, writers, naturalists, thinkers, and spiritual leaders understood the value of trees in life and the soul. All one needed was to take a walk through a forest, and behold, an entire world of interconnected life would reveal itself. The world of trees provides a support system for many life forms. The intimate relationship between trees and water has evolved to the point where our remaining rainforests contain about 90% of Earth's terrestrial species. In the PBS companion book, Water, the Drop of Life, we discover as civilization encroaches on the wilderness, an estimated 49 million acres of rainforest are wiped out each year. This loss of millions of acres of rainforest is the result of humans slashing and burning the trees so farmers may make money from raising cattle or some crop that rapidly destroys the thin soils. After destroying the fragile soils in one spot, the farmer again burns down more of the rainforest. As much as water is the essence of all living things, it is the world of trees through which water nurtures the terrestrial world of life. Which is why I believe trees evolved to be some of the longer-lived living plants on the face of the earth. As I researched the world of trees, I found trees to be like us. Trees and humans are made up of about the same percentage of water. Like humans, trees have individual cells for carrying out different functions necessary for their health and for their survival. And even though each cell performs its own unique function, where's my place? It works in unison with all other cells in the tree through the network created by water. Every new cell in a tree is composed mostly of protoplasm and, except for the cell wall, is similar to the first single-cell plants created on Earth long ago. Science tells us that Earth's original one-celled plants contained mostly protoplasm and a nucleus, or a heart, just like the cells found in our trees today. And just as in humans, water moves through and around these cells, carrying nutrients and unknowns in and out. So why is that important? Why did I read to you a little bit about trees? We're talking about water. We're talking about our health and fitness. This correlation, the first fundamental groundwork in relationship building is to understand how the relationship serves. And in the case of our human body, because we're more than 80% water, it is that single element which serves us most importantly, most profoundly. And when the waters within our body are impure due to environmental factors, due to the food or liquids that we consume, due to emotional unrest and the chemicals that are released through our hormonal system, through thoughts that might be negative, that creates then fear or anger, which then triggers a hormonal response. And those hormones, those chemicals move into our water. We find that our health will devitalize with each toxin that is carried through the waters of our system, through the blood of our system, through the kidneys, the liver, the digestive system, the eliminatory system. All of these organs rely on water to detoxify our system so that we can not only consume and bring in nutrients, but we can convert those nutrients into energy, into vitality, and most importantly, into the body doing what it does best, which is heal. So for all of these reasons, water essential. Much of this common sense, much of this you already know. But as we go, we're going to start to dig deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and talk more and more about who we are in relationship to water, who men are in relationship to water different than who women are in relationship to water. It was mentioned in the video. We're gonna dig a little bit deeper into those dynamics, the dynamic of water. Let me read a few of the responses in the chat. Maddie says, there are special times in my life when water is a major part of a memory. Indeed. My question for all of you would be, do you take moments in your life vision, as you're visioning your life, since we're all here together in this Facebook community, and bring water in as a key player, as a key component into helping you address whatever that goal is or whatever that life vision is that you are trying to manifest in the world. So water shows up in her memory. My question is it also showing up in your future visioning? Is it part of the life in such a way that it plays an essential role as you vision forward? Think about that. Zatira, I hope I'm saying your names correctly. Sorry, I'm driving home from work, so I won't be able to type much. No worries, no worries. Karam or Kareem, when I have a bad, big loads on me day, the first thing when I come home is to have a great shower to purify from that load and negative energy. Absolutely. So water being a great purify internally and also externally. And we're also going to talk about the power of water's purification etherically and spiritually as we move forward. And I too remember my dad would come home from work as I was growing up, and we had a mud room with a shower and our laundry right inside the door. He worked, he was a carpenter and just came home head to toe in sawdust. And the first stop was in the mud room and in the shower. And I sensed that it was more than just, cleaning off the sawdust of the day. And I think it was his transition from his world of work and creativity into his world of home and family. And it was such a beautiful rite of passage each day. And there wasn't a day that went by that he didn't pass through that shower on his way into the home. So it created a certain rhythm in my childhood that was quite beautiful. Michelle, my body is around 60% water. I love the earth and surrounding universe. I do a weekly ceremony with others where part of what we do is call in the water energy, a whole mini Wakan. Yeah, mini is water in Lakota, and Wakan is sacred water. And ceremony around water, we're going to be doing some ceremony next week with water. Ceremony with water through the ages has always been a part. And if you read, which I'm sure you did, just the description of this evening's event, you heard me speak about the baptism of the Christified One. You heard me talk about the awakening of the Kundalini and about the search for the Holy Grail. Women as water carriers have been carrying the water. We're going to talk a lot about how that's playing out in today's very practical world in Canada and America. Grandmother Josephine Mandamin, where did that go? I brought her down to my community here in Monona, and we have 4 beautiful lakes here. I'll talk more about this later, but grandmother Josephine Mandamin, she's passed now, was Anishinaabe of the Midday Lodge, and with 3 other grandmothers, she was well into her 60s, her late 60s. They were given a vision to walk all 5 of the Great Lakes. If you can imagine, to walk around all 5 of the Great Lakes in your 60s or 70s, step by step, day by day, month after month, they walked all 5 Great Lakes simply to raise consciousness about water and the global water crisis, and to give direction to what we can do in our own lives and our own communities on behalf of water. And because water is a conduit, because water is conscious, we'll talk more and more about that, but because water is conscious, it carries the wisdom of the ages, but it also carries forward a vision of a healthier, cleaner world, universe, cosmos. So we'll talk more and more about that. Thank you, Michelle. Ceremony. In my Moon Lodge, I've just stepped into my 21st year of leading a women's Moon Lodge called the Ancient Mother Moon Lodge. Every single month, once a month for 21 years, and 4 times a year, we walk the water and bring in the waters for rites of passage. And I'll speak more about that too. So thank you for the ceremony that you're doing, Michelle. It's so important. Diane says, healer, mover, nourisher, clearing, detoxing, revitalization, communication. Indeed, that's a relationship with water. Water heals, it moves us, it nourishes us, it clears us, it detoxifies us, it revitalizes us, and it does communicate. If I could see you all, please put on your video if you're willing and able. I would love to see a show of hands. Who of you talk to your water on a regular basis? When you go to open your water bottle and have a drink of water, you step into your shower, you walk by a lake, do you talk to the water? Give me some yeses. There's one new message. Well, if so, bravo, because it's listening. It's listening and it hears you. It hears our breath via vibration. And I'm going to read something about that very fact. But with Grandmother Josephine Mandamin in the water walk, we would pause often and just simply speak to the water. We can pray for the water. We can praise on behalf of the water. But do we speak directly to the water? And why is this important? This becomes really important because if we're not continuously speaking to the water outside of ourselves, we're likely not continuously speaking to the water inside of ourselves. And because we're mostly water, if we're continuously communicating positive, energizing, loving thoughts and ideas to the waters within our bodies, then those messages aren't being carried so easily, so freely, and flowing so powerfully. So one recommendation I'm going to have very strongly is, as you're beginning to create a relationship with the water, speak to the water. not only the water outside of you, but really importantly, the water inside of you. Do you speak to your internal organs? Do you speak to your mind? Do you ask your mind to shut off or turn on? Or do you ask your heart to quiet or speed up when you're working out? Do you speak to yourself in certain ways, in negative ways, in positive ways, in nourishing ways? Are you spoken to in negative ways or positive ways by those in your immediate family or your community? Every time we speak, the vibration of our speech moves into the water, and the water carries that vibration. And so if we're speaking loving, nourishing, uplifting words and thoughts, and I'm going to read a little bit more about that in Hidden Messages, then our body can't respond fully to the love that we are cultivating for it. So communication, we're going to be talking more and more about how absolutely essential communication with water is to our health and fitness. How essential communication water is to your love relationship with your beloved, and how essential it is to raising your family and doing your work in the world. Michelle, love the feeling of water falling on my body in the shower, under a waterfall. Its movement on my body in a bath or swimming in the ocean. Also the sensation of drinking it to hydrate and cleanse as it flows down inside me. It sounds very poetic. It's like a poem. Beautiful, beautiful. That is exactly the sensuousness of water. And this is what allows us to come more fully in tune with our own sensuality. When we can feel the sensuousness of the elements, the warmth, the heat of the fire, the flow of water on our skin, when we feel our pores open as we heat up during a sexual encounter and the sweat starts to come out and trickle down our body, and we absorb the sweat of our beloved, these are all layers of sensuality. And if we're not feeling particularly sensuous, all we need to do is close our eyes and put our hands or our body or our feet under running water, and immediately our senses they wake up. So there's awakening of the consciousness, and there's awakening the consciousness to our sensitivity to sensuality in the world around us. And because water, again, is so sensual and so essential to our sensuality and our sexuality, I recommend really noticing when you drink your water, how does it feel when it moves down and into your body? When you take your shower, your bath, when you hear water as you pass by a faucet or a river, what is that sound for you? How do you receive that sound? When we talk about our beloved, how do we receive our beloved? His or her smell, aroma, their waters, their humidity, their strength, their size, their texture. If we can first really moment by moment in our world become central with the world around us, imagine the depth of sensuality we'll begin to experience with our beloved. And that exchange is so much felt through water. Joe says, the ocean has taught me one of the most important lessons of my life. I would love to share one day, maybe later if we have time. For now, I'm on the move. We'll be settled with micro and video on it a bit. Great. Yeah, some of the most important lessons of our lives are definitely connected to water. Some of the most important moments of your life absolutely involve water, and you may not have recognized it at the time. But what I'd like you to do between this week and next week when we meet again is take some time to think about and potentially journal some of the key moments in your life and how was water present in those moments of your life. And I have 5 very clear, powerful moments that were a rite of passage for me, if you will, through my life to bring me to who I am and where I am now. And there will be more as I evolve and learn and expand. But to identify those key moments, those key experiences, again, is a way to create relationship with this element. And then you'll be more conscious of how it's arriving in your life in more subtle ways. Maybe not the life altering ways, but the life enhancing ways, moment by moment, day by day. So great, Joe. I can't wait to hear about those, and I'll be sharing mine as well. Rose Cox, I'm blessed to be surrounded by water where we live and have always been, very drawn to the ocean. I love cold showers, and I drink loads of water. The ocean, it's such a special place. On my bucket list is to learn how to deep sea dive. I've not done that. I've done some snorkeling. I'm in water whenever I can be in water, and any way I can be around or near or in or on the water, I am. But I have not learned how to dive yet. So that is yet coming. And how exciting, Rose, to live right next to the ocean. I have beautiful lakes around me, but I love the ocean. So take a moment, everyone, and just consider, what are the closest bodies of water that are near you, that you live by? And my question for you is, do you frequent those waters? Do you pause in your day and go to those waters? Do you spend time there? A little time, a lot of time? Do you go there to vision, to meditate, to work on your life book, to pray, to exercise, to have a conversation with a friend on a bench next to the lake? Do you sit next to a waterfall and just listen to that sound? Where is water near you? If you have water near you, do you go there? And if so, how often? And if not, of course, my question is going to be, why not? Why not? One thing I can tell you absolutely, as you start to create this relationship and go to the water, it will give you so much more back in the way of serenity, peace, joy, vitality, love, connection as a human to our natural environment, sensuality. We spoke about that. Like you would go to a dear family member or your partner or good friend, go to the water. The waters are waiting for you to come and sit a while and rest a while and dream a while and talk a while. So that is a recommendation isn't the word I want, but an encouragement. That is an encouragement. Joe says again, come to Borneo, Diana. I will teach you to scuba dive. Yes. Okay. I'm putting it in the life book. I'm going to learn to scuba dive with Joe. All right. We said it here. It's recorded for all time. It must happen now. Beautiful. All right. Chat with me a little bit in the feed here. Where is water near you, and do you go to it? Do you bring yourself to the water? If you don't have water very close by, how far do you actually have to travel to get to even a stream, to a pond, to a puddle? There were two things when I was living in New York City. I'm a professional dancer, amongst other things. But for this story, I'm a professional dancer living in New York City. And then I got pregnant, and we decided not to stay in New York City. And there were two things before I left New York City to become a mom that I knew that I had to have. And one was a pair of rain boots, and the other were snow pants. Because I knew that as a mom, I was going to want to pull on my rain boots and go outside and jump in the puddles in the rain with my son. And now he's 21 and he's off to college in Nashville. And last semester, he sent me a little video, whatever. He was out rollerblading in the pouring rain, just having a blast. So he grew up in the rain and, of course, in Wisconsin in the snow. But those were the two things I needed to have as a new mom. In Adana, am I saying that correctly? That's a beautiful name. There is Love Island. Oh, I want to go there too. It is set up around a beautiful lake in Adana. It is a little far, but it is a great lake to spend time around. Beautiful. If someone called it Love Island, I'm sure the emanations and the vibrations off of that piece of earth must be just phenomenal. Go daily. Daily. Where there's love, where those vortexes are, where there's, just go there, everyone. Run, health and fitness, run there, jog there, bike there, fly there, whatever you do, get there. Michelle, I'm 10 minutes cycle ride away from the ocean. I go there twice a week. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm speaking to the choir is what it sounds like to me. I love that. Thank you for being here with me. I want to get into another book that I want you all to find. It's a big book. It's called Water Voices from Around the World by William Waterway, same as the Holy Order of Water, that author, along with Josephine Mandamin, bringing her to the water walk here. I also brought William Waterway Marks, and who William is, and he has also passed incredibly. He was very young, but he was a water advocate for the UN, for the United Nations, and he has quite a story. I'll let you read his story, but he compiled this book. It's a gorgeous book of literally water voices from around the world. And there are dignitaries and presidents, and Jane Goodall is in here, but they're also the voice of the otters and the penguins and various lakes and oceans. And it's a really gorgeous piece of work. And I'm going to read one of those voices. And it's a bit long, but just settle in and hear this story. It's a story like many stories around the world. For those of us who are in Canada or the States or in otherwise first world countries that have accessible, potable, clean water, we're talking about, do we take water for granted? Do we honor water? Have we created a relationship with water? Listen to his story, which, like I said, this is the story of most of our brothers and sisters around the world. I think his name is pronounced Abraham Ozdemir, PhD. To people of the world, he begins. I want to share with you my experience of water scarcity and how to solve it. I was born in a village as the 8th member of my family. There was no school or mosque in our village. Therefore, I had to walk every day 5 miles to a near village for school. Moreover, there was no drinkable water in our village. We used to go with our donkeys almost 2 miles to bring water every day from a distant fountain. There was also no trees and greenery in our village. So just bring that to mind, a village with no trees, no greenery, and no water. To walk 2 miles just to gather water, not just to enjoy the water, but to have water to use for cooking, right? When I was a young man, however, I witnessed with amazement this daily cycle of bringing water from the fountain. It was fun for me to watch. But when it was my turn to go and bring the water, I understood how difficult and awful a job it was. You had to go to the fountain and wait in line for hours. Then you had to fill your water containers, 16 kgs each, and place them on the back of a donkey. I did not mount the donkey when loaded with these heavy water containers. Therefore, I witnessed and experienced the vitality of water for my people and life in our village at a very early age. My mother and sisters were waiting for water to cook our dinner, and then tea or coffee to drink, and try to forget the burden of the day. Everything was dependent on availability of water. I'm going to read that again. That's an important line. Everything was dependent on availability of water. I still remember in some urgent cases when we used to borrow water from our neighbors in the late evening. In my childhood, I also witnessed how scarcity of water can be a source of conflict and problems. Sometimes the older and, of course, powerful guys would intervene directly at the fountain of water. When we were waiting in line, the water used for irrigation of our crops was also scarce and used to be a source of various conflicts in my village. So the First Nations people have spoken much about water the war over water that is coming. So this is the beginning of that, of those water wars, right? For those in the world who don't have access. However, there were also good impressions regarding water in my youth. Like my other fellow village boys, I used to graze our sheep in the plains or at the top of mountains near our village. There were beautiful brooks and small fountains running where you and your sheep could drink. It was crystal clear and beautiful. Later, after use of fertilizer and DDT in our village, we were forbidden to drink from brooks and fountains. Again, much of the world now experiencing a lack of potable, drinkable water. We learned this lesson as a result of bitter experiences. First, the fish began to despair in our brooks. Then there were some health problems in our village. Later, doctors advised not to drink directly from brooks and fountains. It took years for me to discover Rachel Carson's classical book, Silent Spring, and learn the disastrous results of pesticide on our lives and our ecosystems. And of course, by extension, within our bodies. So as we continue to bring this back to Health and Fitness Month, the waters in our world are the waters that are in our body. And what we put into our body becomes the water in the world around us. It's a tremendous responsibility that we have. Our own individual health and fitness is dependent on the health and fitness of our ecosystem, but vice versa. The health of the ecosystem is dependent on our health, because every time we sweat or shed a tear or urinate, we are releasing into our ecosystem either pure water or toxic water. He goes on, when I graduated from university and had a good position, I went to my village. There was a little change since my childhood. Seeing my people there was little change since my childhood. Seeing my people still waiting for hours in line to access water, I was disappointed. I realized that my first obligation to my people is to help them to bring water to their homes. I convinced them that they would support me in their full capacity to solve the problem. Then I applied to the local authorities and told them my village will work with them to realize the water project. It took almost a year to bring drinkable water from the city to my village. It was a good example of civil spirit working with local authorities to solve a major problem. I think it can be regarded as a good example for people who still have the same problem. And in our first more civilized worlds, again, are we taking the water that comes into our very home? Are we taking it for granted? Who were those who began that initiative to bring water so easily to each of us for bathing, for cooking, for drinking? Now water is running in the homes of my village, which has become greener. All what I said above now belongs to the past, and my people are much happier than ever. They have much time to enjoy life, watch TV, and see what is going on in a globalized world. However, today, witnessing the fact that water is becoming an increasingly scarce resource for most of the world's citizens is disappointing me again. Recent studies indicate the fact that the world is heading for a water crisis that is unprecedented in human history. Many concerned people will also accept that the world will face a major water crisis in the coming decades because of increasing scarcities in numerous countries. And we can add to that, of course, climate change, which is creating another kind of water crisis. Therefore, I am, as a person who knows from a very early age what scarcity of water means for people, animals, and crops, am once more disappointed, but this time in our 21st century. However, I have hope in our concerned people and institutions. So he has hope in those of us who have concern and institutions that are concerned and then are willing to act on that concern. Working together, joining our energies and resources, learning from our past experiences, and motivating the civil spirit, we can make a change. Unless we respond together to the challenge of water scarcity, it will be a major threat to us all. In a globalized and ever-connected world, it will menace our well-being, jeopardize our livelihoods, and sometimes endanger our lives. In short, water is the source of life. Our happiness and well-being depend on water and good water management. If we do not solve water-related problems of other people, it will become a source of unrest and problems for us all. So that's a lot to take in, but it's such a profound reality for so many people. This is not a small subset of our brothers and sisters around the world. Again, like I said earlier, this is the majority of the people on this beautiful planet Earth are having to walk for water or don't have access to clean, drinkable water. So I share that because it's really important as we consider creating a relationship with water and recognizing to what degree do we take water for granted? To what degree are we grateful for the water that we have? To what degree do we allow water to nourish our lives, not just our bodies and thirst, but our sensual lives and our intellectual lives? Our brain, you might know, is floating in water. Our babies, for women, are floating in water. Just to think, to read a book, to have this conversation, whoever created this Zoom technology, their brain was dependent on water and the purity of water. Because water for me is ceremony, and I'm a sweat lodge girl. Really viscerally understanding the difference of how my health and fitness, my body, my mind, emotion feels prior to a detoxification, whether that's a fast, a water fast, or a sweat lodge, or a sauna at my local gym, which I go to once a week. And I know John and Missy, John talks about being in his sauna nowadays 3-4 times a day, and they're living on an island surrounded by water. They understand the importance of water and detoxification. But when you feel the difference before and after, and you feel the consistency of that amazing result, every time you detoxify your body through either fasting, which isn't right for everyone, or through really clean eating and drinking clean, purified water in glass, not in plastic. Very important. I'll talk more about that next week. When you feel the difference before and after eating in that way, when you feel the difference before and after a sauna, before and after a swim in the salt water of an ocean, before and after a sweat lodge, when you feel that difference and you notice that it happens consistently, the good result happens consistently, we can rely on it. We can lean into it. It becomes a very practical part of our medicine cabinet or our daily life or our sacred spiritual practice, because it is that which gives not only life to the life, but it gives good life to the life. Good water gives us a good life. Great water gives us a great life. Excellent water gives us an excellent life. Yeah. So one of the things I'm going to make available to you, I'm going to put a link up in the chat in just a minute. It's an excerpt from my upcoming book called it's one of the chapters in the book called The Essential Detox. The name of the book is Rise in Love, Practical Ascension for the Aquarian Age. But the parts I'm going to share with you talk about a physical detox and one very simple practice that you can incorporate into your daily life. And we've got about 5 or 6 minutes. I want to read a little more of the chat. I've laid some foundation for you tonight. I'm going to read one more thing before we go, but then next week I want to dive into more practices. How can you really practically move all that we've shared tonight into your daily life so that it can support not only your health and fitness this month, but it can support all the 12 categories. because water is going to run through, no pun intended, flow through all 12 categories and enhance your life vision. Absolutely. So some of you may do this already. The lemon break fast, I call it lemon delight. It's simply drinking a cup of warm water every single morning before you intake anything else. So after your fast of your sleeping time, so you've not eaten as you're sleeping through the night or day if you work the night shift. But in the morning, first thing, warm water, not boiling hot, but not boiling. Fresh lemon if you can, lemon oil if you don't have fresh lemon. And I talk about it in this article, the detoxifying, the daily detoxifying it gives you, but then also the vitalization of the vitamin C and the lemonoids in the lemon and that combination of the hydration of the water and the micronutrients in the lemon to begin your day, each day that week. I invite you into that practice and let me know how that feels for you when I see you again next week. And again, I'm going to share this link where you can get the download. And then the other half of this is a simple little practice in the section talking about the etheric detox. And I spoke a little bit how water can also purify and work with your etheric body or your energetic body. So read on those things before next week. Let me see what's in the chat. And then I want to leave you with one more thought from Hidden Messages in Water. We have a picture of Joe. Oh my gosh, look at that photo. Wow. Good on you. And look at you behind us. She's showing us. Oh, beautiful. Rose, my walk this morning, she said, oh, look at that picture. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing those images. Great. I'm just going to ask anyone who would like to unmute and have a quick, like a 30-second share or comment or even a question. Anyone have any questions? And then, like I said, I'm going to leave us with one more thought for the night, which is pretty profound, but it's going to set us up for next week really nicely. So someone unmute, talk to me.
I don't mind sharing. I can share.
Hey,
Can
Joe.
you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi. I can share something. So it's a bit of a long story, but I'll make it really, really short. I had this recurring dream, and in my dream, I was standing high above a body of water. And then I would just see and the water was kind of murky. And then it would, throughout the dream, it would just slowly become transparent. And then through the transparency, I just saw so many whales and dolphins and manta rays and whale sharks. There was just so much ocean life. It was overwhelming. And then I would look and I would love it and I would see them all playing, and then the dream would end. And this happened for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then a couple of other things were happening because I live right next to the ocean. I go diving every week. A couple of other things were happening, which is where the story gets a bit long. But then a friend said to me, you know, there's something in that. And I was like, I know that so the ocean is trying to communicate. And at this part of my life, I was struggling with something. And then I recalled the dream as the ocean. And I said, and it just came out. And I said, it wasn't planned, but what I spoke out loud was, I am the ocean in Joanne's dream. And I see her looking at me. And I'm always surprised how surprised she is to see the abundance. And I went, oh my God. Oh my God. And what it taught me was, because I was fighting, basically I live in Borneo, but my family are in the UK. So I'm constantly fighting and struggling with these two different locations and taking the best and the worst from both. But what it taught me was, I have so much abundance in both locations. Love both locations. You know, I mean, I've kind of shortened it, but it was profound. It was like such a shift in how I looked at my life. And that was communicated to me through a dream where the ocean was always present. So yeah, really powerful.
Yeah. Joe, I mean, let's talk about the fact. Those of us who know that it's a fact, it's a fact. When my teacher says, to believe or not to believe is the same vibration, but to know, you no longer have to believe. Yeah. So once you know that the water speaks, hear it. And it will speak to you. And you can ask the water, what does it need? But you can also ask the water, what do I need? Because the water within you is speaking to the water outside of you. And because you're mostly water, whatever your water needs is what you need, is mostly what you need. And a beautiful example of that communication. Thank you, Joe, for sharing that. So to back that up with some scientific research, because these things are important for some people. I talk about water in a practical sense, in a metaphysical sense, and also an esoteric sense. But when we can talk about them on all of those levels simultaneously and throw in science and philosophy and art and creativity, then we have a whole knowingness. And what I love about this work is that it's based on science, but he moves into the esoteric and metaphysical for sure. But if you don't know his work, what he did was he froze water, and then he took photographs of the crystals, of the water crystals. And then he placed various vibrations onto those crystals. Everything from music to words to thoughts, prayers. And then he would rephotograph the same water, and those water crystals would be different, either more enhanced or more beautiful, such as this crystal. And the vibration he placed on this crystal is something we're going to work with next week. 2 words, 2 thoughts, 2 vibrations: love and gratitude. And he found that the crystal of love was beautiful. The crystal of gratitude was beautiful. But when he combined love and gratitude together, it was the most exquisite crystal of all that he photographed. Really incredible. So one of the things that you can do is write. I write on my glass bottles, love and gratitude, backwards. So the water inside is reading those words, and drink it. These 3 images were water crystals that were placed, the words, you fool, like a negative demeaning. And this is what happened to the water. So when you speak to yourself this way, or when you're spoken to in this way by someone you know or someone you don't know, this is what's happening to the water in your body. And this water is affecting your brain, your hormones, your health, your vitality. When someone is speaking to you love, appreciation, your internal crystals are becoming quite beautiful. And then I wanted to show you this because, again, Health and Fitness Week, this is really also very important. So the top 2 crystals and the bottom 2 crystals. The top 2 are from a mobile device, and the bottom 2 are from a microwave oven. So what happened to the water when it was put in the microwave? And what happens to the water that's in our ear, near our brain, whenever we have a mobile device nearby? Yeah. And then I'm going to show what was, and again, very important. So this was the water drawn from a lake and photographed. The crystal below it is after a Buddhist prayer, after a Buddhist chant. That was the change in the water of that very polluted lake. So I'm not going to have time because I'm just a few minutes late, but next week I'm going to begin with a bit of a story, a reading from this book that talks about how water is the conduit of vibration. I'm a Qigong practitioner and teacher, and I work in the world of energy all the time. And what's important about water is that it carries these etheric vibrations. And so start to notice, again, in your day-to-day life, a few things this week. What is your relationship with water? Are you getting to the water? Are you allowing the water to enhance your life consciously? What are the words and thoughts that are coming out of you into the world and affecting the water? And what thoughts and words and vibrations are you allowing to affect your own body? And then very practically, I'm going to put in, let me do that right now. I'm going to put in the link if you'd like to either download this PDF that I have for you, or if you'd like to get in contact with me, any questions, anything of that nature. So let me get this link in before folks need to start leaving. So just click on that. I'll leave it up for a few moments. It's just going to take you to a little form to put your name and your email so that I can then it's just going to go to an automation and send you. Make sure you check that you want to download, that you want the PDF, and then the automation is just going to send it to you, and you'll get it in your email box in about 5 minutes. So let's read these last few chats, and then we'll just, Diana, I have a sense that we should not microwave water. Is this the case? This is absolutely the case. I no longer, and for many, many years, I took the microwave out of my home, because actually even having it on, even if you don't consume the food that is being microwaved, the radiation coming off of the microwave while it's on in your home affects your waters and the water in your environment. Absolutely. Michelle, one of the reasons I never use a microwave and try not to eat food cooked in it. Absolutely. Yes. Good on you. Keep it up. Rose, I recently come across Veda Austin, who I believe was inspired by Masaru Emoto with the work she does. Super interesting. Great. I'll write that down. I'll look her up. Thank you. Thank you so much. So many beautiful gems I needed to hear. Must go. I have my next event starting now. Thank you, Zutira. Ironically, the founder of Water Tech Startup sent me a text just now. Michelle says, beautiful. Nothing ironic about these synchronicities in life. I just had a small fly dive into my glass of water in front of me, Rose. Beautiful. Wow, is he okay? Nice, Michelle. Yes, I managed to fish him out. Oh, beautiful. Yvonne, thank you. This was amazing. Thank you for being here. Maria, thank you for the link. You're welcome. Michelle, yes, so true about the microwave. Even my radiologist told me it's worse than any exposure that they get. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Diana. That was brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am very excited to come back together next week. Please spread the word. We're going to dive in next week to actually some practices together. We're going to communicate with the water. And I'm going to give you a few more really practical things that you can do in your world. And also, if you have questions, put them up in today's event. And I'll just be checking those comments, or anything that you've heard tonight that you would like me to go deeper on. I have more to share next week, but I'll try to add in whatever you'd like to also hear more about next week. So feel free to put those there in the comment thread under tonight's event, and I'll look for those. So in parting, I just want to say, I love you. I appreciate you. And I behold the beauty that you are, beauty that water is through you. And I want to thank you. I want to thank the water. Mini wakano homatakwiyas. Great Spirit, thank you for this bountiful, beautiful element that we call water. Gives us life, gives us breath, gives us creativity, gives us sustenance, allows us to feel our sensuality in this third dimensional form. In deep gratitude and joyous love, thank you for this moment and this time of sharing in a good way. Aho Gocha, thank you everyone for coming. Namaste, Ashe, peace be with you. I love you all. Thanks for coming. I'll see you next week.